Hello, today I have a talk. It is called Caused by Mind. So the first statement I was given is you believe one thing in time and space is caused by another thing in time and space. So look at that slicing and dicing, that chopping. I'm going to isolate one thing. I'm going to call it cause. And then I'm going to isolate another thing. I'm going to call it effect. And I'm going to have a whole structure of logical beliefs based upon my perception of cause and effect. And meanwhile, my entire perception was actually caused by a thought believed, and then another thought believed, and then another thought believed. That caused my perception. Then ego comes in and analyzes my perception and gives me more ego thoughts to believe about separate things in time and space causing other separate things in time and space. So the whole thing was you believe one thing in time and space is caused by another thing in time and space, but really all perception is caused by mind, thought made form. So when we're thinking, we're making form. And we don't have to be afraid of this because spirit is here. And spirit uses form temporarily. So all form is for spirit to use. Spirit can give us thoughts, and it's okay to think, and it's okay to experience form, but we're not experiencing form in order to try to get or acquire the forms ego says would make us happy. That's just ego talking. And if we're afraid or angry or irritated or bored or fatigued or in pain, that's all of that's okay, because it's just a signal we can learn to pay attention to, and we can learn to respond to it appropriately. That's all we have to do. We just have to stop our train of thought. Stop at the first car, don't let 100 cars go by, 100 thoughts go by. Stop and understand this fear, this irritation, this fatigue, this pain, physical or emotional. This is my helpful signal. It's a helpful signal that tells me to stop. So I can stop, and then I back it up. What thought did I just believe? Ego doesn't like this, I would say, but ego wasn't designed to work this way. To have what you actually are back up and examine its thoughts and place the thoughts in the light where they can't hold up to that light. Ego wasn't designed to work this way. Ego was designed to have these trains of thoughts that make chaos. What it sees as unending chaos, punctuated by triumphs of death, meaning death to the ego means God doesn't exist, I exist. Well, now we're turning around. We're turning around to look at each ego thought and to pause with each ego thought and to understand, while we made a perception of chaos, it's never been real, and this doesn't have to continue, and we can be guided by spirit now. So all perception is caused by mind, by thought made form. No matter what form I'm encountering, it came from a thought. And no matter how I feel, the feeling of, the not good feeling means I am believing a thought from ego, thereby making a chaotic form. And I don't have to worry about that when I experience the feeling. All I have to do is turn around and look, what thought did I just believe? And then I can remind myself, I am not a body. I am free. We are free in one mind together, extending in accordance and alignment with God's will for perfect happiness for all of us. None of us is a body, even though we're experiencing bodies. So while we're experiencing bodies, we may as well turn the entire experience over to spirit, to what we are, to bring to a happy conclusion. The experience of bodies is temporary. We are eternal. When it comes to perception, there is cause and effect. Thought causes perception. So when I'm unhappy about a perception. And the perception was caused by the thought I believe. So here's why I'm responsible. No matter if you're perceiving on the world stage or in your personal life, no matter where I'm perceiving, thought causes perception. And all I have to do is turn around and find one thought I believe. Maybe if I'm looking on the world stage, the thought I believe is we're in trouble. Well, let's open that up to question. Let's look at we're in trouble. We don't have to prove or disprove we're in trouble using data or remembered past experience from a fantasy, a hallucination, a dream. We don't play with that. We just expose the thought. Maybe we believe we're in trouble. And now we can set that aside. Okay, it was cause for perception. What can replace it? I am not a body. Only bodies can be in trouble. I am free. Freedom itself, which you are and all are, cannot be in trouble. And the more we rest in our re-identification or remembering our true and shared identification, the more we can be helpful to one another. When we're resting in our shared identification, we're open to thoughts that Spirit would send us. And I use the lessons from A Course in Miracles to open that door in my heart to any other thoughts Spirit would want to say to me. So I open the door when I've been focusing on the idea we're in trouble. I open that door in my heart using the lesson in A Course in Miracles. I am not a body. I am free. I focus there and the door in my heart opens. Then I'm open to receiving thought from Spirit. I was receiving thought from ego because I, without realizing it, had closed the door in my heart. So I use the lesson from A Course in Miracles to open it again and then to rest there. And if I feel not good again for any reason, any tension, any physical pain, any emotional pain, I need to rest and focus and examine and open the door in my heart again. And fortunately, we can all do this as many times a day as we need to. And as we begin to value our happiness, not happiness about things in time and space acquired or mastered or controlled, not those things, but just happiness, then we do devote our time to examining what we have believed and resting, opening that door in our hearts, because the thoughts of Spirit, that they bring true happiness to us. When your feeling tells you that you are focusing upon a meaningless thought of ego, simply set it aside. So one thing to remember, using we're in trouble as a thought of ego, every single thought of ego is meaningless. Even if it seems to describe your experience is a dream. Your experience is very flexible. Your experience is a hallucination. Your experience is a fantasy. So that is why every ego thought is meaningless. It comes from the determination and the wish and the desire to experience something that cannot be of God. Something separate, something not harmonic, something whose goal is death. I always laugh when I can see that so clearly, that I have adopted as my goal death, and I think somehow the goal of death can make me happy. And it can only be a pretend death, of course, because death is just play acting. It can't be real. What we are together, which is not any body, it cannot die. But we can pretend that we are separate bodies, and we can pretend that we can die. So when I don't feel good, I'm believing a death thought that ego gave me. I invented ego so it would send me all these death thoughts, meaning any thought snared in the belief that things and beings are separate and can be unhappy. All of those are death thoughts. All of those have the aim and the goal of observing death over and over and over again. And that's a triumph for the ego. That's, when ego can guide you in that fantasy, then it's like, okay, death is real. I have triumphed over God. I have blocked God out. And now we can relax out of that blocking God out. Or if you don't like the God word, say reality. What's real behind this fantasy of death? There is something real. I can stop blocking it out and I can allow it. Okay, so we can simply, when we find the thought we believe, the example being we're in trouble here, we can just set it aside. There's a meaningless thought of ego that I believed. And no matter how many times I give myself the experience that we're in trouble in some way, that thought can never have true meaning. It's just a fantasy that I keep re-experiencing. Why? Because I want to. And I won't keep re-experiencing it when I don't want to re-experience it anymore. When I want to see our eternal nature, when I want to see the innocence we share, when nothing is more important than that. So any thought of ego, I can just set it aside. And then I can focus on that heart-opening thought of spirit. I am not a body. I am free. If I am, so are you. If you are, so is everyone. If everyone is, that's all we've ever been. We can pause and rest there and invite in any thought that would guide us through the remainder of our fantasy. We hand our fantasy over to spirit, over to what we are together, and spirit is the director of that fantasy. What you are is relaxed and open. So let's say you're tense. Well, you are a relaxed and open being, but you've chosen to cover up your relaxed and open and calm nature with the fantasy of tension. So you, as you actually are, can't ever be tense. And if you're looking at another and you think how tense that one is, that's part of your fantasy of tension, which is not possible. But in time and space, we hallucinate about the impossible. So, isn't that interesting? What you are is relaxed and open always. As you allow the remembrance of what you and all are relaxed and open always. But when I've spray painted fear on their surface, I'm not looking at what they are. I'm looking at the fear I spray painted upon them. So as you allow the remembrance of what you and all are to return to you, you are relaxed and open. You recognize yourself, you see others. That's our true nature. It's calm, it's joyful, it's peaceful, and it's everyone's true nature. It is a nature that is shared. If I'm experiencing something else, I'm experiencing the fear that I spray painted upon someone or something, and it's coming from my idea of past experiences with them, how they're likely to be. But all of that, we can relax out of all of that past patterning together and just rest in the now and rest in the awareness that we share innocence and we share this openness, and we don't have to know anything else. Anything else we need can be delivered to us. Loving thought is always available to you. So when I don't feel good, I'm believing unloving thought. But loving thought is always available to me. All I need to do is reset. I am not a body. I am free. All unloving thought is about bodies and objects and concepts and separate things. And loving thought is always available to all of us. When you have set aside an unloving thought, you can say this: I am ready for the loving thought now. So we are in trouble, was the ego thought I believed. Set it aside. I am ready for the loving thought now. It's here. I can either experience my fear spray paint, and that's my choice, I can bounce off that surface and have many hallucinations, fantasies, and dreams about that. Or I can be ready for the loving thought now. And the loving thought can make my experience. The loving thought makes the forms that I experience. I am the formless, you are the formless. But for now, temporarily, we're going to experience form, and that's fine, because loving thought is here for us. And we can put our trust in the loving thought. We can keep inviting the loving thought. That's different from trying hard to think personally loving thoughts about beings you regard as separate. You know, Nancy's really nice and she did this nice thing for that other person and that's why I think she's nice. You have to try to think loving thoughts about separate ones because there aren't separate ones. Just remember that the loving thoughts are here for you and turn in that direction. That's your part. You open the door in your heart. That's your part. And then the thoughts you need can come to you. And if you notice that you've gone into wanting to fantasize, hallucinate, dream about chaos again, and you notice because you don't feel good, or you feel a physical pain or discomfort, emotional pain or discomfort, then you just reset. That's what a day is for. A day is for resetting and resetting and resetting and resetting. Just keep opening up the door in your heart because the loving thought is there. You don't have to manufacture it from ego. Ego would say a personality can think loving thoughts or unloving thoughts, and I'm going to tell you the loving thoughts about this one. Ego's going to be whispering in your ear and comparing the beings and saying, well, next to this one you're not so good, or next to that one this other one is better or worse. And don't get your loving thoughts from ego. Don't even try. Just open up the door in your heart. I am ready for the loving thought now. Or I am not a body. I am free. All are not bodies. All are free. That opens the door. That's all you have to do. And you're going to be carried along. Okay. Thanks for joining me and happy healing.